Welcome to this explainer. Have you ever looked around and wondered why some folks who start out with completely ordinary backgrounds end up becoming millionaires, while others, who might even have a huge head start, just seem to struggle with money their entire lives? It's a fascinating puzzle, isn't it? Today, we're unpacking the source material that reveals the hidden architecture of wealth. We're going to dive right into the psychology and the daily habits that separate the people who build lasting wealth from those who get stuck in a never-ending cycle of financial stress.
Okay, let's dive right into the big question. Why do most people stay poor their whole lives? It's a heavy thing to think about, right? But if you ever stop to consider that your financial struggles might actually have absolutely nothing to do with bad luck, or even your salary, the research we're exploring today argues that the real culprits are actually our daily habits, our mindset, and those tiny, seemingly invisible choices we make every single day. Let's look at exactly how those choices compound over time.
So, to understand this, we need to break it down. Let's kick things off with Phase 1, the trap of spending and show off.
Society basically conditions us to believe that if we just work hard, get a solid education, and earn a good salary, we'll automatically be financially secure. But earning money and managing money, those are two completely different skill sets. Imagine this. Let's say your income doubles. Maybe you go from earning $20,000 to $40,000. You got that big promotion. Logic says you should now have a massive surplus of cash, right? Well, wrong. For the vast majority of people, the exact moment their salary doubles, their expenses just magically double right along with it. Suddenly, you need that newer phone, the expensive clothes, and you're eating out at way fancier places. Experts call this lifestyle inflation. And honestly, it is the silent killer of wealth. Because no matter how much you earn, your spending habits will just keep rising to eat up the difference.
This whole dynamic really highlights a major conflict in our modern lives, which is looking rich versus being rich. Why do we inflate our lifestyles so quickly in the first place? Well, a massive part of it is the social media trap. We see our friends, or honestly even complete strangers, posting pictures of a brand new car or some lavish trip abroad. And boom, a psychological trigger goes off, I should have that too. So we start spending money we don't even have, to buy things we don't actually need, just to match this perfectly curated image. But keep this crucial distinction in mind. Looking wealthy and actually having wealth in the bank are two entirely different realities.
And to fund this desire to look rich, we fall straight into the next trap: the new mobile phone, the laptop, the bike. It is just incredibly easy to accumulate debt today because we've completely normalized buying everything on EMIs, or equated monthly installments. We tell ourselves, oh, it's just a tiny monthly payment, no big deal. But when you stack up an EMI for your phone, another one for your laptop, and one for your vehicle, they are silently consuming half of your monthly income before the month even starts. You are quite literally borrowing from your future self just to fund your present desires, and that leaves absolutely zero room for investments.
Which brings us perfectly to Phase 2, fear of investing and mistakes.
Now, let's say you actually manage to dodge the debt trap. You keep your lifestyle in check and you genuinely want to save. Unfortunately, a lot of people enter this phase with a completely backward mindset. They tell themselves, I'll just save whatever is left over after my expenses. Listen, this is quite possibly the most toxic financial habit you can have. Why? Because human nature guarantees that our expenses will always expand to fill whatever money is available. If your master plan is to wait until the end of the month to save whatever happens to be left, I guarantee you that bank account is going to be empty. The wealthy do the exact opposite. They save and invest first, and then they spend whatever is left over.
So the really crucial point here is what you actually do with the money you manage to save. If you're terrified of investing and you just leave your cash sitting around in a standard bank savings account, you are literally losing money. How? Because of inflation. Inflation is the silent thief that just steadily eats away at your purchasing power every single year. To actually build wealth, your money has to grow faster than inflation. And that's exactly why utilizing investments like SIPs, mutual funds, and index funds is absolutely essential for your long-term financial health.
But here is exactly where impatience ruins everything. When people finally decide they want to invest, they usually want a magical shortcut. They go looking for crazy schemes to double their money overnight, they fall for fake investments, or they chase this illusion of wealth without putting in any hard work. The source material is brutally honest about this. These shortcuts are only going to drain your bank account. There's no magic wand for wealth. It requires time, consistency, and a pretty healthy dose of reality.
And speaking of reality, here's a big one. Stagnant skills equals stagnant income. In today's incredibly fast-paced world, just relying on a degree you earned 10 years ago, it's just not going to cut it anymore. If you stop learning, if you stop upgrading your skill set, you are basically putting an artificial ceiling on your own earning potential.
The people who continuously increase their wealth are the ones who are continuously investing in themselves and their abilities.
All right, now let's transition into phase 3, the mindset keeping you poor.
You see, you can know all the math, you can completely understand how a mutual fund works, but if your internal operating system is flawed, you're going to continually self-sabotage your financial journey. Whenever there's financial hardship, the natural human reflex is to look outward. We play the blame game. We blame the government for high taxes, we blame our family background for not giving us a head start, or we just chalk it up to bad luck. Now let's be very clear here. Circumstances absolutely matter. No one is denying that. But continuously blaming external factors strips you of your own power. Change begins the exact moment a person accepts radical personal responsibility for their financial reality. At the end of the day, you are the CEO of your own life.
Let's move on and see how this builds into our perception of time. There is a stark contrast between the struggling majority and the financially successful minority. Most people are completely trapped in a survival loop, really only thinking about how to make it to the end of next month. But wealth isn't built in weeks, it is built in decades. Financially successful individuals operate on a timeline of the next 5, 10, or even 20 years. They understand the immense power of delayed gratification, and they know exactly how tiny positive daily habits compound over decades into massive, massive results.
And finally, that brings us to the blueprint, the right path to wealth.
We've diagnosed the illness, we've looked at the traps, and we've analyzed those toxic mindsets. Now here is your unshakable framework derived directly from our source material. Step 1, earn. You have to generate an income. Step 2, save. And remember, do this first, not last. Step 3, invest. Put that saved money to work so it beats inflation. Step 4, learn skills. Continuously increase your market value so you can boost that very first step. Step 5, avoid debt. Stay far away from those lifestyle EMIs that just drain your cash flow. And finally, the absolute glue that holds all of this together. Step 6, have patience. Let time and compound interest do the heavy lifting for you. Doing these 6 things consistently is the ultimate formula for strong, resilient financial independence.
I want to leave you with this really powerful takeaway. Wealth creation requires right habits, not just big income. It's actually incredibly liberating when you truly internalize this. It means that financial freedom isn't just reserved for a lucky few with massive salaries. The vast majority of wealth-building factors are actually entirely within your control right now. A single correct financial decision today, like deciding to automate your savings or just refusing to take on debt for that brand new phone, can completely alter the trajectory of your life for years to come. So take a hard look at your daily habits. Which one are you going to change today to build your wealthy tomorrow? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, and I'll see you next time.